decided to station me at the swamp must really hate me. It's so humid I can feel my armor rusting.
Maybe you'd start getting better or something.
This is new.
The Lion Guard strive to protect the...
Hey, what's up, Ginger? How's it going, man? So we're doing a Guild Wars 2, what I like to call the hardcore run. Basically, we can't buy any gear off of any of the vendors. The only gear I can use is gear that I get loot off of mobs, or quest gear rewards, you know, or leveling rewards. And then, of course, we only have one life, so if we die, we have to delete the character. So I thought it'd be fun. We can't use the auction house. We can't trade with other players. Can't group with other players. So thought it'd be fun to do. Someone actually on the stream had mentioned this for me to do this for Guild Wars 2. I thought it'd be kind of fun. So. I'm still looking for a main hand weapon to go with my shield. I've got a shield, but I don't actually have a weapon to go with it. So I'm just basically rocking the two-hand sword for now.
I'm dying here!
You'll be feeling that one for days. Time to do some real damage.
Got me.
They'll have to hit much harder. Melissa confound you.
Happy Sunday. Hey, Valen, how you doing?
Endurance running low. Replenishing.
Have no weapon, no main hand weapon. Oh my god! Happy Sunday, everybody! Oh no, we're being shot. So we're doing a hardcore run, Valen. We only have one life on this character. I got knocked down because in Guild Wars 2 you can get knocked to the ground and then you can get back up. You know, I was fighting an elite spider last night, which a champion spider, and he knocked me down he knocked me down to the ground 4 times. And he kept poisoning me, and I was so worried I was gonna die, but I was able to get up every time. I should have been streaming that because it would have been kind of fun to watch.
They'll have to hit much harder.
But we'll attack some more champions. Champions are obviously really difficult. really difficult for me to kill. I haven't been able to kill any of them solo. Not at this level with this gear, you know. But still fun. I'm still looking for a main hand weapon. Another one of these weapons, which is an upgrade, so we'll put that. I didn't have another one equipped. Still looking for some sort of main hand weapon for my shield combination, like a mace or a sword, which would be nice.
You must like pain.
I need some backup!
Yes. I don't think anybody... The death sounds are awesome. I don't think anybody's really tried to do hardcore in Guild Wars 2 ripoff. So, the rules are... We can get knocked to the ground. You know, you get knocked to the ground in Guild Wars 2 as long as we can get up. So, if we get knocked to the ground, like I was knocked to the ground by a champion spider like 4 or 5 times last night. But I was able to get up every time and get away. But I can't buy loot, because you know there's stuff you can buy off the vendor for, like for example, remember everything's character bound, so even though this is a new character, I already have 139 gold, and I have 304,000 karma, so I'm not allowed to expend gold or karma on any kind of gear. The only thing I'm allowing myself to buy is the salvaging kits, so that I can basically, you know, try to keep my inventory somewhat clean. Other than that, or maybe I'll allow myself to buy food. I don't know, like regular food, just you know, regular food. So that's about the only thing. And then we can't. So all the gear we use has to come from you know, doing quests and stuff.
Please, you can't do this.
Oh, calm now. It's a simple deal.
This is like they're doing the story.
Husband doesn't pay me. There's really nothing to get hysterical about.
Ha! You're kidding, right? I need help!
And I am allowing myself to use the mount. Just because I just, you know, it's not, you know, I'm going to allow myself to use the mount just because it helps me move around. And because some of the stuff in the game kind of is predicated on mount usage, you know, like getting to certain areas and stuff. So we'll allow myself to use the mount, which makes the game a little bit more fun. Plus the mounts in Guild Wars 2 are just so awesome. I thought there was an event here.
May Balthazar strengthen you.
Watch the perimeter. Don't let them inside the defenses. We must hold this ground.
Here they come!
Time to do some real damage.
The northern gate is lost. Regroup!
This makes me sick. More will come.
Your victory will be short-lived.
Endurance running low. Time to do some real damage.
Across the Western Bridge! Move to engage!
Weakness makes me sick.
Watch the perimeter. Don't let them inside the defenses. We must hold this
Another
ground.
personal victory.
Ooh, level up. Welcome to victory. Welcome to the elite. Personal population, me. Okay, we did get a helm, which is not an upgrade. We did get a mighty sword, but that's a... Oh, it's a main hand sword. Sweet.
I will be waiting.
That seems to be the last of them. Rest up and tend to your wounds.
Right.
This isn't over yet.
Get some leg armor too, but it's not my type of gear. We got some... I've already unlocked all this die, so it doesn't matter.
Sir, we've salvaged enough centaur supplies to build an arrow.
So we did finally get a
Take them to
sword.
Quarry side. The civilians could use a ranged
Ah.
defensive.
Yes,
Nice.
sir.
Chunk. This 163. This is 218.
Let's get this arrow cart to quarry side before the centaurs strike again.
If they're gonna, oh, now we gotta escort. Escort this.
We need to hold this position.
Thank the gods you were here.
Terrific. Another life or death struggle.
Feel the fury.
Anything to report?
They'll have to hit much harder.
Alert!
There's the
For the Tamini!
Oh shit.
You will be broken. By the gods, what will we do now?
I could outrun a centaur.
Take the mine. Kill the two legs. Trample them all into the dust.
Centaurs are attacking. Evacuate the mine.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Hurry. Everyone out of the mine.
You will be
The
broken.
mine's under attack. Someone please help us.
quarry site is under attack. Quickly, set up the arrow cart.
To me! Oh.
All right.
To me!
Hey, what's up, Nick? Guild Wars 2 hardcore Guild Wars 2.
Live on.
Ooh.
Time to do some real damage.
Looks like that's the last of them.
Feel the fury!
Why do our crops look so sparse?
All right, we got. I hate selling this stuff because it's all like craftable stuff, but I just don't really have the space for all this stuff right now. So we're just gonna sell it. Very clear.
thirsty.
Get it yourself, you ungrateful toad.
Now, you know I was only joking.
Feel the fury. They'll have to hit much harder. Like fine wine, I just keep getting better.
Oh yeah, like fine wine, baby. It's I think it's, well, I mean, so far it's a lot easier, unless you try to take on the champions, you know, the champions that you see throughout the world. And I've actually tried to kill a few of them, and I've always ended up running, crying home, screaming for mama. Like I was fighting a spider last night, and the spider kept putting me in a big webbed cocoon, and then I had to like hit a button to try to break out of it, and the spider would come up and like poison me, and I mean, I almost died. Like I got knocked to the ground like 4 or 5 times. I had to fight to recover myself up off the ground, but eventually I just had to run away. So, I mean, if you're just killing regular mobs at your level, it's easy, but at least so far. I mean, I'm only level 19. But if you're going to try to do any kind of the more difficult bosses, because there are veteran bosses that can be tough, and there are times when I've gotten down very low health lots of times. But the one thing in Guild Wars 2 that gives you the advantage is that you don't get killed right away. You get knocked to the ground, and you can fight your way back up off the ground. So that makes it a little bit easier. What training do we want to do? We've got Litany of Wrath, heal yourself, or shout training's not bad. I like signets. Signets are good. This is grants you increased condition damage. Mobilize your target. That probably wasn't the best skill. This is more of a PvP skill, I think, but it's all good. I've just been doing it. I haven't been doing like the story quest. I've been mostly just focusing on doing, you know, the hearts and exploration, because you can level pretty quick just doing that.
Did you hear that? Sounded like a centaur shadow.
A centaur shadow? I think you've been on.
Ooh, what's this? Can we sleep right here?
Battle awaits.
Guess not. Guess not. How do we get to this? Here we go. This way.
Great gods, am I happy you are here.
Motivate. Get your butt off the ground. Do some work. Hey, do some work. Oh no!
Someday I will establish my prominence.
Hey, what's up, Jada? How's it going?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Longbow. Well, this is a low-level character, and I've never completed the expansions, so I don't even think I have the access to the, you know, to those elite specializations. I'm what you call what do you call it when you're using the base spec? What do you call it? Like vanilla spec? Or, I can't remember what it's called. There's a name when you're just using like the original specs. Base Guardian or something.
What brings you here?
I know people who still find their fable, and even cast a spell or two.
I haven't seen proof.
They're hiding. It's my theory.
Yeah, I think it's called like Base Guardian or something. I'm a big fan of Sword and Shield, of course. If you've ever watched me play MMOs, you know I love Sword and Shield. But I also like Two-Hand Sword, I like Mace and Shield. But I haven't really tried the bow and all that stuff, but eventually I would like to. Definitely. Finebay's always getting on my butt that I need to go through the content, you know?
Thank you for your help.
Give it your all!
They'll have to hit much harder.
They aren't so tough.
Yeah, I know. I think all MMOs should have like dynamic quest events. Guild Wars 2 implemented a lot of really, pretty innovative stuff. I mean, all MMOs should have like world kind of events and dynamic stuff. And these are repeatable ones, but still, they're really great, especially for new players. And they're repeatable, so yeah, you can just, you can escort this person's bull to market and get yourself a little bit of experience. Yeah, I love it. Your mounts are account bound. That's why I have a mount at level, 19 or whatever I am, 17, 19. I think I'm 19. And just look at the quality of the mounts, are unrivaled. There's no game that has mounts like Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 mounts are far and away the best mounts of any MMO I've ever played. I mean, that is a big sword. Guild Wars 2, when you have a two-handed sword, it's a big sword. Yeah, they have real great animations and physics to them. Yeah, like when you turn, the way it turns is really cool. Like if you're going one direction and you turn, the mount has to stop. It's really cool. Like, see how it turns, and like if you like turn, the whole body of the mount turns. And when you jump, it does like a sliding stop. Or like if you're running really fast and you just like pull back, you know. Or even the fact that you've got like a, you know, a backwards, you know, walk like this is really cool. And Guild Wars 2 allows you to offset the camera angle. There's actually controls in the settings where you can actually move the camera left and right a little bit, which is cool. And Guild Wars 2 also has I'm trying to think what the other thing was. I thought of it a minute ago. Guild Wars 2 also has, what was it? Hold on, I'm adjusting my headset. I don't know, something else, I'll remember it. To get a dragon mount? Well, in Guild Wars 2, well, they're going to give everybody a dragon mount, I think, in the next expansion. I think they're going to remove the requirements in the next expansion, which I like and I don't like. I mean, you know, I feel like people who spend the time to do things in MMOs kind of almost... This is a rainbow tree. This is actually a rainbow... This is actually a real tree. Take a picture of this for my wife. We actually bought her father one of these trees for Christmas. Yeah, I don't have the dragon mount or whatever, but like I said, I think in the next expansion you'll be able to get one.
Alert! I will live on.
Time to do some real damage. Not enough endurance.
I came here seeking my fortune, fishing near Triskel Quay.
Oh.
But I was driven into Lion Guard protection at Overlake.
So level 19. We just have to get to level 80. I don't really know how long it takes to... I mean, I'm not using any experience boost or anything like that. We're just leveling without dying, hopefully. Just by doing the hearts. As you can see, Guild Wars 2 has an amazingly beautiful world.
hit you.
Feel the fury.
The old underwater combat.
You'll be feeling that one for days. I'm bleeding.
You can see there we took quite a bit of damage. We're actually taking some sort of a bleeding damage effect right now. I think this video is going to demonetize. This sound clip's going to. It is. It's going to demonetize my stream. Oh well. My stream just got demonetized because that one song played. I removed that song from the playlist so that won't happen again. It's funny on YouTube, like certain songs you play don't get flagged for copyright, but then, you know, after a few years, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they start getting flagged for copyright. So it's just really annoying because then I have hundreds and hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel that have been fine for years, and all of a sudden they all are like, copyright. It's just kind of annoying. Part is complete. Main Fire Hills. Something going on at Main Fire Hills, so we're gonna try to figure out what. This is where the spider was. Right here, where I'm at right now, is where this big camping spider was. Almost killed me. go grab this waypoint here.
A little help?
Oh crap, I remember this spot. This spot's
I
dangerous
don't
as hell.
have enough energy.
Because these guys all shoot at you. This gun in here is super dangerous.
Give it your all.
Melissa confound you.
You see there, I almost died. You see that? I almost died right there. Holy crap. Oh, spider! Spider!
You must like pain.
This is the spider almost killed me yesterday. Shit.
Nice one. Replenishing.
Oh no.
I don't have... Is it just me, or am I amazing?
Ooh. Nice. Those guys took out that spider. Oh, we got some experience for it.
Alert!
Right. Ooh, we get a ring. Why not? Grab some toughness. Ooh, we got a torch. If we don't have a main, if we can get another main hand, we can do our torch. Do a torch build as well.
Back me up!
Impressive combination.
Time to do some real damage. Feel the fury.
Now, I'll never...
Leave me be.
You're kidding, right? got me!
Time to do some real damage.
You're kidding, right?
Just one more confirmation of how great I am.
Time to do some real damage. Feel the fury! I could outrun a centaur.
Some help!
They'll have to hit much harder. Hurts, doesn't it? They'll have to hit much harder.
Oh.
Endurance running low.
Holy crap. You're going down, bandit. Man, that guy was tough. That was a veteran bandit instructor, and he about kicked my butt. I should have used the bomb against him, right?
Time to do some real
I
damage.
thought she was gonna throw the bomb and she just dropped it.
Feel the fury!
More will come.
If only I could. I'm going to... Feel the fury! Endurance running low. Feel the fury.
Well, come.
She's reloading.
Not enough energy. You'll be feeling that one for days.
Help me over here!
Oops. Whoops. Oh, these are like level 22. I'm like, dude, I'm level 21 already? Damn. Yeah.
Not enough endurance. What am I supposed to do with this? Hey, Hair Days, what's up, man? How's it going? Different than WoW. Like, I enjoy WoW more than Guild Wars 2. It's just, it's hard to explain. I mean, Guild Wars 2 is a great game, but there's just something about WoW. It feels more. I've always had a hard time putting a thing, like, really explaining it. But like, I don't know. It just feels, the world feels more solid. Like, does that make sense? Like the character control and the way you move and the way your character moves. It just feels, you feel like more solid in the world. Guild Wars 2, you feel kind of like a butterfly, kind of floating around from here to there, you know?
But having said that, I love Guild Wars 2. I think it's a fantastic game. Yeah, the character controller in WoW is like the best character controller. Like it's very, like the way you move and the way combat works, it just feels so satisfying for some reason, which is weird because it's a tab target game. But like,
I promise a painful end.
but like in Guild Wars 2, it's like I say, you feel more like a butterfly, kind of, you know, flittering around from place to place. But Guild Wars 2 PvP is really fun, and the difficult fights in Guild Wars 2 are fun. It's the simple fights that, for whatever reason, feel less, I don't know, It's so hard to really put a finger on it. But.
Your victory will be short-lived.
Yeah, no one almost nailed that. The feeling, like even just like the character, like see how like I move, like how my character's moving. It feels like I'm kind of floating across the land. WoW has a much more. It just feels solid, even though the game is smooth. Like
The bridge must be repaired at all costs.
Feel the fury.
Like the Guild Wars 2 movement is extremely
our strength in you.
fluid. You know.
Keep them off of my tail, and we will get this done.
I mean, the movement in Guild Wars 2 is, and of course the mounts. I mean, you can't say enough about the mounts and how good the mounts are. And I mean, just look at what they. I mean, look at this mount. I mean, look at this thing. There's something about, like, notice like the graphics in some MMOs. The world seems very like massive. Like wow, look at the world in Guild Wars 2. It seems huge. But there's something about the graphics that make, like when I'm playing at almost the same distance from my character, it just makes it harder to see clearly things, you know, like if I do some combat here, it's more difficult for, like here against one mob, it's really easy to see what I'm doing. But if I'm fighting like 10 mobs at once in Guild Wars 2, it can become pretty difficult to see what's going on. There's a lot of stuff flashing around the screen. You'll see me doing a lot of like moving around. You don't see that so much in WoW. The movement's much more deliberate. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is that the movement WoW is more deliberate. Like when a warrior charges, you know, it feels more a slower paced thing. Like in Guild Wars 2, if I do a dodge roll, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty quick. If I get into combat here, like if I get into combat with this bear, I mean, I can easily like, you know, jump to the bear, you know, dodge away, weapon swap, jump back. You know, I mean, I'm executing a lot of different abilities here, like a lot, right? I just fired off like 4 or 5 different skills in a row, which is part of the skill of Guild Wars 2. You know what I mean? It's part of what makes the game good. I mean, it's from a combat point of view. You know, there's a lot of abilities. There's a lot of interplay between those abilities. Weapon swapping is key. But again, like when I'm talking about World of Warcraft, it's more deliberate. It's more. Look at the beautiful moon up here. How cool the moon looks coming through the trees up ahead. Let's see if we can get a good screenshot. It looks like it's starting to rain too.
they'll have to hit much harder.
Yeah, but see 70 FPS in Guild Wars 2, I don't know how to fix that. Yeah, I play a lot of classes, and I've played other classes in Guild Wars 2, but the Guardian is just, it just, to me, has always felt the best. I don't know, I always really enjoy it. The other class I actually enjoy quite a bit, believe it or not, is the Ranger. I actually enjoy the Ranger class quite a bit. I think it's pretty fun. But yeah, that's, the Guardian, though, to me, is just awesome, you know. And there's some things in Guild Wars 2 that are better than any other MMO. One of the things in Guild Wars 2 that I think is far superior to any other MMO is the world map. World map in Guild Wars 2 is so interactive. It's so cool how you can zoom. I mean, you can zoom. Look how far in you can zoom. And then look how far out you can zoom. I mean, it's just... And then you can... The fast travel system, although I'm not a huge fan of fast travel, I think in Guild Wars 2, because of the way the game is constructed, the fast travel works really well because it allows people to, like... You can go, like, let's fight. I start to say something. Let's see, world? I don't know. So I've got to go to map. If I go to map, and then if I go to the map, and then I shift click this, it actually sets that waypoint. It actually made me say it. And that's really cool. And then because of that, you can tell people where like bosses are in the world. You can like link them, and people can easily like really quickly like get together to help take down like world bosses and world champions, which I think is just really cool. And because of and that's only you can only do that because of the waypoint system, because of the fast travel system. Also, the die system I think in Guild Wars 2 is the best die system of any MMO. Like I can even die like my pet. So if I go, I'm trying to remember how to do it. This is PvP equipment, hero equipment. If you go to your mount, you can actually dye your mount. Let's see if I go back to dies, hero dies. Click here, now we're on our mount. We can actually dye our mount, which is really neat. This is the dye that I set up with my mount, which I kind of like. But go in here and do something like, I don't know, white. What happened there? I clicked the wrong one. Oh, so it changed. So there's only one color apparently. Like, see, like what it said. Like if you went with like a really, let's go with pyre. And it makes it more yellow. Go with like a dark green. Gives it just this nice, more greener looking like texture. Lava. Lava's kind of cool. Let's try that one. It doesn't cost any money. Now look, my mount, and look how the mount sits down on the ground. That's awesome. I always forget that they do that. Look at his tongue sticking out. I mean, come on. Like you can't beat. I mean, these mounts are just. I mean, they're like every. So like you look at mounts in like World of Warcraft, and on a scale of 1-10, you may give them like a, you know, like give them like a 6 or something, or a 6 or a 7. And then you look at that mount in Guild Wars 2, and on a scale of 1-10, you give it like it gets like a 12. You know, it's like so good. It's like a 12. It's not. It's 10's not good enough. The portals. I'm not sure what you mean, like portals. Are you talking about the portals between zones, or are you talking about the rifts that you go through, or whatever they're called in WoW, where you like open up a, you know? I'm not really sure which portals you mean. If that makes sense. I love the moon here. Oh, things you have in the cities, like the portals. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean now. I know what you mean now. Yeah, I'm not super... Again, it's all part of the fast travel system where you can port from city to city. I mean, it's... I don't hate them or anything. I like how WoW has, like, the Hearthstone, and you can just hearth to, like, a certain place, like, and then outside of that, to travel between places, you just have to either walk or use your mounts, or use a boat, or use, like, a, ship. So I think it's, the fast travel in Guild Wars 2 is pretty, it's a lot different. I mean, the world's big. I don't know if it's bigger than WoW, but it's, let's see, let me think. I would probably say that, yeah, the world is definitely bigger than WoW, I think. We take into all these continents. I mean, look, I've just explored this little area here. But if I had to move from the Divinity's Reach down to Keswick Hills, it wouldn't take that long, just a few minutes. Like the distance from the top of one of the continents to the bottom, if I tried to put that in perspective, Guild Wars 2 would probably be from here to, I don't know, maybe all the way over to here, maybe that would be, I don't know, that might not be though. It probably, no, maybe from here to, from the entrance to Divinity's Reach to maybe like the end of the Deldrimar front way over here, maybe that would be like the same distance. It's hard to say. I'd have to Google that to see. For level. Surface level? Surface? Underground? Is it?
We must all do our part.
How does this work? Yeah, Guild Wars 2 mounts are just, like I said, they're the best mounts I've seen in it. I mean, I don't even think there's another game that comes close. I mean, World of Warcraft took Dragonflight and tried to steal the dragon flying from Guild Wars 2. Which is fine, whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. If you want your game to be relevant, and other games are making better things. Best way to stay relevant is to copy them. See what's over here. How is it that I've not downloaded regions? This is so weird. I must have uninstalled Guild Wars 2 at some point. I must have actually uninstalled the game. But it's so funny, like, I think that's one of the things about World of Warcraft that I mean, I always come back to it, but I always come back to what separates WoW, at least the early days of WoW, like the first 3 expansions, or the vanilla game in Burning Crusade and Wrath. To me, what always separates WoW from other MMOs is the character controllers, like how the character moves, how the game feels, like how it feels when you're controlling your character. Like in this game, everything looks amazing. Like when I play Guild Wars 2, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and I'm always like, wow, this is so cool. But I always feel...
Have you noticed any new threats in the area?
I always feel more separated from my character. I almost feel like I'm playing like a mobile game or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel...
We already know about the Nightmare Core.
Like I feel more separated from my character here. You know, I don't feel as immersed. I guess that's the biggest way I could say it, is I'm just not immersed into the character and the movement of the character and the feel of the character as I am in WoW. Like I don't feel as immersed.
It seems strange to find bandits this far south, but here they are. And in large numbers, too. Willem's group tries to steal our supplies when they aren't harassing the local Skrit. If that wasn't bad enough, Skada's bunch have taken control of the route to the west. Between you and me, we have no idea what those thugs are up to out there.
I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Lethal combination. I like it.
I talked about that yesterday, where I talked about the movement in Guild Wars 2 can feel like you're on skates. I mean, it's a very common thing in MMOs and in a lot of third-person games, that movement can feel like the phrases or the examples that people talk about are like you're on roller skates, or you're on ice, or you're floating, and that's because the reason that is because when you want to run one direction and you go back the other direction. Like right now, it's like what it is in WoW, right? I go left, I'm immediately changing directions. But once you're in combat stance, it's different. See, now, actually, I guess it's only in combat, maybe. Hold on a second. No, actually, it's doing the immediate thing. Weird. So it is actually moving more. I thought it did a slide. It's moving like WoW pretty much, as far as left right.
Feel the fury.
But there are a lot of games where it'll move like this, like you're moving one direction, and when you try to go back the other way, and there's a delay. Like there's like when you go right and you try to go left, it doesn't immediately go back left. It's kind of like Dark Souls, where you'll be going one direction, and once you start to go left, your character will kind of skid to a stop, and then she'll slowly turn around, and she'll start running again. There's like this delay, and that always, even though it's more realistic, it doesn't feel as good. So Guild Wars 2 does have like WoW movement as far as left right, but for some reason it doesn't. I don't know. It's so hard to explain. It's very difficult to put a finger on it. Like if we go here, I do think the colors, I do think the textures and the art style have a lot to do with it, because the textures in Guild Wars 2 are a lot more detailed. There's a lot more going on. Like look at the ground. I mean, look at all these different colors and variations. Same thing in the world. There's a lot of different the art style has a lot of variation to it. A lot of different color variations. Like just look at the leaves here. Just look at how this leaf has tons of different colors in it. In this fern, brown, green, light green, yellow. Look at the ground here. We've got red and green and yellow, and There's some blue and some purple. And because of the I think because of the complicated color scheme. It's weird. It's weird how, like, it just depends on my... There we go. Just depends on what camera I'm using. So if we go back to World of Warcraft... like, the variations in color are a lot more subdued. You know, this is probably not a good best example, but you can see just brown. The ground's brown, orange, a little bit of green. Well, that's a difference too. Notice that when I jump in the air... Oh, that's another thing too I wanted to talk about with Guild Wars 2. Is in Guild Wars 2, when you jump, your character will stop traveling. Unless you continually hold down the key. So if I jump and hold down my strafe right, she's going to jump to the right. But notice how her jump is kind of kludgy. It's kind of... I wish my glider wasn't doing that. Let's do what I feel. Notice how it's kind of bouncy. Like, it's not smooth. Like, when I jump, you can see my head kind of... It just looks... See how it's kind of bobbing up and down a little bit? It's not super smooth. Now watching WoW. Look how smooth the jump is. Like, when I jump, my character is super still in the air. The only thing when I jump in the air that's moving is the background. My character is just beautifully smooth. The transition from up to down, and then she does this kind of slightly kind of floaty thing on the way down, but it's super... Like, you can't get any smoother than WoW's character controller. And I don't know how to explain it more than that. But this one thing that WoW has done, which is create a character controller that is incredibly, ridiculously smooth, just makes such a huge difference. Like, when I move around in here, it's smooth, but it's... Notice how my character's kind of zooming in and out based on the terrain? Do you notice that? Like, I'm just moving the mouse left, but notice how the camera, because of just things in the terrain, it's just not as smooth. Why is my camera even zooming in like that? Is it because I'm on a hill? Not really. If I do this, see how my character's not really zooming in and out that much? Try it here on a flatter surface. Not quite so bad. But that jumping is not... You don't have the same smooth jumping. It's a little more janky. Yeah.
Start dropping the poison traps. We'll kill these Skrit with their own
stupidity. Yeah, if I stop moving here, she does a little...
The faster we kill these Skrit, the faster we can raid the throne room.
Little stutter step when I let go of the key. That doesn't really bother me too much. But the kind of the little bump, like, see how my character kind of bounces down when I let go of the movement key, the forward key, W key? It's like, and then if I go to the right and I let go, she does this little kind of shimmy step. Whereas in WoW, if I let go, she just kind of comes to her resting stance, which is facing forward. So she does do some movement after I let go of the key, but instead of it being a stutter step in the direction I was moving, she stops moving in that direction and just turns her body forward. Guild Wars 2, I let go and she actually continues facing to the right, which is interesting. She doesn't reface forward.
Trinkets? Shinies? Anyone see them?
And even the fact that she doesn't face forward, I think increases what I was talking about a minute ago, where it feels like when I play Guild Wars 2, I'm not as immersed inside. Like, when I'm playing the WoW character, I feel more like I'm actually this character. I feel more like this is me. You know? This is me. You know? I cast a spell, you know? Everything's a lot more deliberate. Look how long it takes me to cast a spell. And of course, you know, the clarity and the simplistic nature of the animations and of the game makes it everything much easier to discern, to see, which I've always talked about many times with, that if it's easier to see,
I never knew these bandits before.
Yeah, but, you know, if it's easier to see the abilities, like right here, I'm doing all this stuff, and these graphics are great, and they look, especially the first time you see them, they're amazing. But you know, they're not. And I'm not trying to bash Guild Wars 2 in any way. I love Guild Wars 2. I think Guild Wars 2 is a great game. I think this is one of the best MMOs ever created. And I can sit here and talk for 20 minutes about all the things I like about Guild Wars 2. Like, even just look at this shield. Look at the texture work on this shield, the wood, the metal. This shield is amazing. Just that piece of artwork is fabulous. Like, you know, the armor also. The armor is really good. You know, like the swords, you know, are really cool. Like, if you look at her sword, it's really nice. It's a nice sword, beautiful wooden handle. But I can also, one of the things I do dislike about Guild Wars 2 a lot. How do I get out of the combat stance? How do you get out of the combat stance? Is there a way? Okay. One thing I do dislike about Guild Wars 2 is the textures of the face. Like the character models. Like her face just looks like a mannequin. It looks like plastic. You know, that's one of the things I really don't like about Guild Wars 2 is how the faces of the models look really. They've dated. They've dated pretty poorly. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, no, it's yeah. I mean, it's hard to because it's a hard thing to explain to people. One of the reasons why World of Warcraft PvP is so good is because if you're playing WoW, right? Like let's go here. If you're playing World of Warcraft and I want to show you something, we'll have to create a character to do it, I think, but.
I never knew of these bandits before
the images are so crisp.
It's shocking to see how dangerous they've made the
Look
north.
The west of the wildlands is riddled with them as well.
And I really think as much as
the inquest.
I think as much as it's easy to bash the graphics in World of Warcraft because it's not like necessarily the best graphics, right? So let's go self. So what I want to say is one of the things that's so cool about World of Warcraft is the PvP in WoW is so good. It's really good. And actually, don't get me wrong.
For nearly 7.
The PvP in Guild Wars 2 is really good, right? But what I wanted to show you is this. Like, if you look at... look at that. If you look at just that spell, it's so easy to see what I cast. I mean, anybody who's in a PvP battleground sees that go up, they're going to understand, oh, he just cast, you know, Frost Armor. But what's so cool is like if I do this, right? If I go here and I start casting this spell, you know, everybody who's played the game for any length of time is going to know, oh, that's a mage because she's casting Fireball, right? And it takes a long time. There's actually a time to the spell. Like, it takes a few seconds. If I'm casting, do I have Frostball? I guess I don't have Frostball yet. I only have Fireball. But my point is, it's the spell animations are really nice, and you know they're really easy to see, you know, from a PvP point of view. So it's very easy to counter abilities in PvP because you can see what people are doing. It's like, oh, I can see she's casting this. I know what to do. If warrior charges, you know, or warrior throws up certain abilities, maybe he throws up the ability that prevents him from being feared. You know, it's very easy to see what's going on. In a game like Guild Wars 2, it's not, you know, things can happen so fast. Like right here in Guild Wars 2, I can cast like 4 spells really quickly. So boom, 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 boom. I just cast 4 different things, right? And could you tell me the 4 things I just cast, right? I just cast 4 spells. That would be very difficult to do in World of Warcraft. You know what I mean? So I just cast Virtue of Justice, Virtue of Courage, Prayer to Lissa, and Signet of Wrath. And I cast all of those in, you know, like 0.3 seconds. So that makes PvP much more challenging in Guild Wars 2. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a lot different. I think, but when you're playing PvP in WoW, and especially when the game was new, it was fun because everybody could learn the system pretty easily. It wasn't super complicated, you know.
it wasn't until later on that you learn the nuances. You learn like more about how to counter certain abilities. Really, the nuances in PvP, a lot of them come with especially with casters. A lot of them come with just range. Like they come with the getting out of range of a caster. Like one of the things that made me a lot better healer in 2's Arena was when I understood how to track, like cyclones and sheeps and fears from enemy warlocks and mages and druids. And what it was I knew how basically how far away I had to be out of range. And I also knew what it looked like when they were casting those spells. Plus I usually set focus to those targets, so I would have a focus cast bar that would come up and say sheep, and I was like, oh, he's casting sheep on me, but but again, it's pretty easy to see that, what's going on. But in Guild Wars 2 it's not so easy. But yeah, it's very difficult to explain the difference between WoW and Guild Wars 2 because like I sit here and I jump in here and I play Guild Wars 2 and every time I come back and I play the game, I'm always like, man, why don't I play this game more? This game is so cool. The combat's so cool. I can come up and attack this pig. I got these great abilities, And look how awesome that looks. It's awesome. I can switch to my two-hand sword. I can dive at this guy and throw up a big protection bubble against myself and do a little spin to win. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. And it is awesome, and I love it. But after doing it over and over again, it starts to become, I don't know. It's weird, man. Yeah. And also, I think, let me go back in. Level 21, though. We're level 21 already. I've almost died several times on this character, I'm not going to lie. Mostly to like veterans and champions, Veterans and champions. The spells, and I think, the spells in WoW are more like the traditional, like what you would think of Dungeons and Dragons type spells. They're like your traditional Dungeons and Dragons spells, Frostbolt, Sleep. Those are things that pretty basic, but yeah, like if I go into like my level 76 Paladin, like because Guardian is very, to me, like in Guild Wars 2, Guardian feels a lot like the Paladin.
I carry only the highest quality goods.
The other thing too, I think in WoW is the feeling of impact in WoW is much greater. And from a combat point of view, when I hit somebody, I feel it. When I throw my check this out. I mean, that's like, you could hear like, I have the volume really low for some reason. Let's see if we can turn it up. We're going to turn it way up. You can feel those sound effects, right? Boom, and that, to me,
I never knew of these bandits before coming here. It's shocking to see how dangerous they've made the
and that really makes the combat feel more impactful.
Well. We've even seen them.
And it's not like Guild Wars 2 doesn't have good sound effects, because it actually does. Just boom. You taunt this guy. And I'm just hitting him with my with Shield of Righteousness and Hammer of the Righteous. It's very difficult to explain.
Start dropping the poison traps.
But the movement, the biggest thing really to me is the movement.
Move it.
Something about how
the faster we can raid the throne room.
Something about how the character moves just feels very. It's tight. It's a tight feeling. It's responsive. It's tight. It's responsive.
Chinese? Anyone see them?
And I think that's this. It doesn't feel as tight. You see how it's more wishy-washy. It just feels more like it's not as responsive. It's hard to explain until you play the game side by side. It's definitely more fluid. Even just turning the cameras, it's not as responsive.
Not enough endurance.
But man, some of the spells in Guild Wars 2 they look amazing, and some of the sound effects are really amazing too. But I do think that the graphics have a lot to do with it. I think that the graphics in WoW really have a lot to do with the immersion. Like when you see my character here walking through this valley, it looks so different than like Guild Wars 2.
There's trouble brewing down that way.
Like if I go up to a character, I mean, it feels, yeah, I mean, it feels more solid. Like these guys feel like more real to me.
For the Horde.
I'm like going talking to this person.
Wildlands is riddled with them as well.
You know.
We've even seen them consorting with the Inquest.
But like I said, the skins, the character models really didn't age too well in Guild Wars 2, unfortunately. Just the skins. All the skins look very, just like plastic wraps. Like we plastic wrapped a character model.
Thank you.
But anyways, I'm gonna take a break, and I'm not saying I love Guild Wars 2, and I want to stress that really strongly. I love Guild Wars 2. I think Guild Wars 2 is a great game. But I think I enjoy the combat in WoW more, and I enjoy the little nuances in WoW a little bit more. Like there's a lot of things about the combat, even though it's a more simplistic combat system. There's a lot of like macros. I mean, in Guild Wars 2, I don't even create macros. In WoW, if you go to my my macros section, I mean, I have probably like 100 macros that I use on that character. Like on that character specifically, probably don't use 100, but I'm going to use probably around maybe at least 30, 40 macros. So that just shows you there's a lot of like little customization, and a lot of those macros are really stupid. They're just clearing any kind of errors messages on the screen, or they're just saying, hey, when you use this ability, also start the auto attack. So they're not necessarily like even necessary. Like the game could, build a lot of stuff into the game that does this for us. And Guild Wars 2 has some really cool things that WoW doesn't have that I wish WoW did have. One of the biggest things Guild Wars 2 does have, it has basically the action cam, where you can basically turn on the action cam mode like what you would have in Black Desert or Terra, where basically when you move the mouse left and right, the screen turns. So you don't have to like hold down the mouse button, the right click, to turn the screen. You can actually and I have it actually keybound to control middle mouse click to turn it on and off. Whereas most games like Black Desert, like Terra, what they do is they usually bind it to like the Alt key or the Control key. So like as you're playing in the game, moving around, and it's also called mouse look, meaning that when you move the mouse, your camera's turning to look. So it's called mouse look. So any action combat-based game usually is going to be mouse look, but to break out of the mouse look mode so that you can interact with the UI, you're going to want to hit some sort of a key, because that's just the way it works. Like if I were to start Black Desert, I could show you what I mean. Really, I think Black Desert is a really good example of it. Let's do it. I gotta remember the password. Always a difficult thing to do. All right, hold on a second while I find my password really quick. Really hard to explain. Yeah, it is so hard to explain, and it's so weird. I find it very difficult for myself to even try to figure it out. I'm like, why does this game just feel so much better? Now, when I go into Guild Wars 2, Like when I went back into WoW, I don't like the graphics. Like when I was in Stone Talon Mountains there, I was like, ew, God, this is ugly. Compared to Guild Wars 2, some of the zones in Guild Wars 2 are just gorgeous. I mean, they're beautiful. But once I start playing the game and I start doing combat and interacting with the combat, it feels better. Like the combat feels better. And interacting with NPCs feels more... it feels solid. It feels like the world feels more real to me. Even though the graphics don't look as good, like the world feels more real to me. Like WoW is definitely way more immersive. And if you talk about immersion in MMOs, it's very difficult to really describe what is immersion. You know, how can you get immersion? As a game developer, how can you make a game that actually provides the players with immersion? It's not an easy thing to put your finger on. But I do think that the control of the character controller, how you move in the world, and how your character feels when you're playing the character. To me, that's the number one most important thing with immersion, right? Now, you go from... I mean, look at the graphics here. I mean, they're just outstanding, right? Look at these graphics, right? Let's say I go with... let's go... let's go with... I haven't played this character in forever. I don't even know how to play this character anymore. It's been so long since I played her. But what I wanted to demonstrate really quickly in Black Desert was just, you know, the action cam, right? Like how the action cams works. And I think you guys probably already know, but if you look, one thing that turns people off in Guild Wars 2, and it's still loading everything because its graphics are unbelievable, is there's so much interface. Like the interface has got a lot going on, you know, and a lot of people probably don't like that. But you can definitely turn a lot of the stuff off. I don't know how much is configurable. I mean, look, you can see all these, so many different things going on in the UI. You know, progression pass, Elvia Realm, daily special. Turn the volume down, but like you can see here in Black Desert how the character moves around, and I would say that Black Desert feels much better to me. BDO, oh yeah, BDO always has quite a few people, and BDO has a very pretty dedicated group of people. I mean, you can see these are all real players, right? These are all real people that you see. So as you can see, there's a lot of people here. So yeah, BDO has a lot of people. In fact, the server, when I logged into the server, said it was full, basically, at a very high population. You can see me walking down the street and see all the players. But that's not, that's an NPC, NPC. The players are the ones with the blue names. Like here, Angels, all these blue names here are players. Yeah. So weird trying to remember how to play. I haven't played the game in forever, right? But this is a Beastmaster, whatever they're called. I don't know. BDO's a cool game, but it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, there's a lot going on in BDO. Like I said, the interface is very busy, but I think once you get used to it, you kind of just it doesn't really bother you that much anymore. I'm used to it, so it doesn't bother me. you can remove some of the stuff, like some of the quests and stuff, and you obviously I probably could resize the chat window down a little bit here, and there's probably ways you can change the UI a little bit, but the game's gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely just beautiful, right? I don't have my mount. I mean, look at the water here on the ground. See all the water here. It obviously rained here. There was, BDO actually has, like, there was a storm that came through this area here by Heidel one time that just blew me away. I mean, it was huge thunder and lightning and rain, and it was just probably the nicest looking, you know, rain I've seen in an MMO, like, ever. Well, swimming in BDO is a little bit awkward. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit weird. I don't even know how to swim down. So swim backwards. Dive underwater is A. There you go. Oh, they've actually improved it. It looks better underwater, I think, than it used to. Maybe not. I don't remember these bubbles near my feet. And of course, BDO has really good climbing. Climbing mechanics in BDO are really, really good. So if we go over here, we can see we can climb here. Does it? Oh, like, I actually ran up the wall there, which is pretty neat. But if we climb up something like this, see how easy it is to climb. Wouldn't let me climb up that. Oh wow, I'm doing like a ninja between the buildings here. Seeing a lot of lag though, which is a little bit disconcerting. A little bit concerning. I don't remember seeing that much last time I played. And of course, one of my favorite features in BDO. Wait, I gotta be out of combat. You can actually just like set up against a wall, stand up against a wall, and put like a little message that other players in the game can see. I've always thought that was one of the coolest features. You can also, another thing you can do when you stand against the wall, and there's actually a quest in the game that teaches you this. But when you stand up against the wall, you can also hit R, which actually makes you go into this kind of observe mode. It's also a neat way to get screenshots if you want it. I don't know if you can do it. You go to camera slower. I don't know if there's a way to hide the UI. Well, hold on a second. To have a what's my hide UI key? But anyways, it's an interesting way to explore and look at the world by moving the camera around, which is really cool. But as you can see, the world of BDO is just you know, drop dead gorgeous, man. I think BDO, I think that's very common for a lot of people to get overwhelmed. And all I can say about that is that BDO is very complicated. There's a lot that you can do in BDO. And the crafting system in BDO is super cool. Like if I go to, let's see. If I log into my Gelf girl, who's really like my best crafter, I think. And I called her Gelf girl because she looks like a Gelfling from the Dark Crystal. Okay, so, and I don't know if I have my mount. Where's my mount? Yeah, we do. Yeah, I got my little, oops, I'm in the wrong key. You can see I've got my little mule. I even have some armor for my mule. Check that out. Check out my little mule. He's got some beat up old here. Right? Okay, so if I go into my inventory here, I can, let's see. I'm trying to remember how to do this because I haven't done it in so long. So you see my inventory, I've got seeds, I've got magical purple mushroom seeds, I've got magical barley seeds, I've got special wheat seeds. These are different things that I can plant and grow these crops. But I don't remember how to do it. It's been so long. I probably have to, you have to plant like a fence, I think. Is it pay to win? Yeah, I would say it is. I would say you can buy money that gives you, that allows you to buy certain things. It is pay to win to a certain degree, but I mean you still have to learn how to play your character. You can pay money and it'll help you, like maybe, you know, enchant your gear up to the highest level, but you're still going to have to, you know, play. So you're gonna have to play the game and, you know, and get and learn how to play your character. The one thing I don't like about the PvP in BDO is it feels like a lot of times it's just, you know, it's just like a couple of rotations you go through to basically like kind of, you basically try to stun somebody and basically one-shot them, you know. There's just like these rotations you pull off, and I'm not really a big fan of the PvP in BDO, to be honest. But I've never done it a ton, but it's one of those things that, it's not my favorite type of PvP. Like, again, when I talk about World of Warcraft PvP being so good, there's always, it's a lot more deliberate. You know, you see spells, you can counter spells, but in BDO, somebody could jump off their mount, jump on top of you, you can pull off some crazy combo, and within a few seconds, you're dead. And you're like a max level character, and this guy can kill you in like, you know, 10 seconds or something. And you will have no idea what he did. I mean, unless you've played the game. So the PvP, I think, can be very, there's a high skill ceiling for PvP for new players. And I think it's a big barrier to entry for new players. Yeah. Trying to get off my mount here. Alright, I'm gonna go talk to the market, if I can here. If I remember how.
You can entrust your goods without worry, since
it's
an
an
official trade zone approved by the head of the Merchant Guild.
And I'm gonna go to Manage Warehouse, and I've got 90 million, I guess, which really is not a lot of money at all. But what I'm looking for is some fences. And you can see in my warehouse, I have a ton of like wheat. I've got 2019 wheat, 367 barley, and I've got all kinds of special seeds. And this is all the crafting stuff I've done. You can see some of the stuff I have. Like, if you look at the, I think somewhere it tells you your value. How do you do that? I can't remember how to do it. There's a way where you can see like the value of what you have in your warehouse. But I'm not gonna worry about it right at the moment. It says warehouse balance. That's just how much money I have. I don't see my fences in here. Yeah, I would have to go. I would actually. It's been so long since I've actually played the game. I don't even remember how to plant seeds anymore, which is funny. But all I can say is if you've never played BDO, there's a really good channel that I went to that taught me how to do the crafting stuff. I really liked it. It's probably still in my you know, my subscriptions. But I think one of the guys I probably went to a lot was was Evil Do Us Harm. Evil Do Us Harm has been doing Guild Wars, or sorry, Black Desert content for probably ever since the game came out. But if you go to his channel, he's got a lot of good guides, and you can just say, you know, farming guide. Like here, Black Desert, how farming works, new player to intermediate.
Hello, what is up, guys? Evil Do Us Harm points for all sorts of different things. The easiest way is if you go to the central market and you just type in whatever you're trying to grow. I guess we'll just use barley as an example.
Like barley.
Type in whatever you're trying to grow. You will see that there are seed options, market cooking, the gathering the map, and let's just zoom. That is literally a bit of more information here. So what we're gonna.
And you can see he's got like, I don't know how he went to this map, but if you watch this video, it'll really teach you, and it is intricate. There is a lot to it. Now here's how you set up the farm. This is what I was trying to remember how to do.
And some flat land that is away from a road. So there's this nice little field north of Isleton right here that I can place down my plots. In order to place down the plot itself, open up your inventory when you are on the region that you're going to grow the crops. Right click on the item in your inventory, and then you will be greeted with the little crop itself. Open up your inventory when you are on the region that you're going to grow the crop.
You can see he's right clicking on the strong fence. So you have to put down the fences first, and once you get down the fences, I think you can grow. And that's what I was looking for, was my fences. I know I have fences, I just don't know where they are. Because I'm like looking for them. I know I have fences. You can buy fences, like we could go to the... Let's see, let's go purchase. And you can probably just type in fence. Or maybe not. Or buy. Fence? Okay, so you probably... I guess you have to buy a fence for maybe an NPC. But I know I've got some fences here somewhere. Let's get back on my mule. But... it's free to play. I mean, if you've never played Black Desert, I would definitely recommend going to maybe Evil Do Us Harm. I think his channel's nice. And just watch some videos on whatever you're looking to learn how to do. He's got tons and tons and tons of content. And it'll really help you out. And it's as complicated as it seems. Like, if you play the game, you're going to be completely lost. But if you just watch a few videos, it doesn't take long to learn the basics of how to do, you know, certain things. But the game is very... I mean, look at all these people. All these... You can AFK fish. A lot of these people are probably AFK fishing. They're probably not even playing the game right now. They're logged out. Or they're not logged out, but they're actually AFK fishing. If you fish while you're in the game, you can fish more. You can fish more effectively.
But you have a lot of stuff, leave it with me.
Okay, here we go. So here's a shabby fence. Right? I don't know where my strong fences go, but there's a shabby fence right there. Let's grab this shabby fence. I want to see if we can do this real quick. Kind of stuck on that little wooden post. I mean, I think you can pay for a subscription, but you don't have to. Pretty sure I keep saying Guild Wars 2. Pretty sure Black Desert is free to play right now. I believe. It used to be. I don't know. You can check it out, but it used to be free to play. I mean, I don't have an active subscription, and I am playing the game. You know, I have no active subscription to BDO. You know. So let's say I go out here and I go to my inventory and I double click on my shabby fence, right? Or I right click it. So I'm gonna put down my shabby fence. Okay, now I've got this little area. And now we can basically at this point go into place mode, right? And now I can go ahead, hit place mode, and now I've got 4 areas, I think, to place. So I'm just gonna put down some special wheat, right? Okay, place that there, and then I'm gonna go down and put down some magical. Actually, this one's not gonna let me because it says cannot place due to installment limit. So we're just gonna go back, put down some. Great. So this one doesn't let me do either. So it's weird. Like, there are restrictions on these things. Yeah. So if you read the text, it should say like it says note that this plant will take up 1 grid in the garden. Now, I don't know why it won't let me plant more. I'm not sure, really. What have we got? We got a wheat crop. Cannot place any more due to the installment limit. So for whatever reason, it's only let me plant 1. I'm not sure why. I thought I could plant more than 1. But, oh, this is a shabby fence, though. So let's retrieve all. And let's go ahead and exit out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve our fence. I wanted to look at the... Takes a while to retrieve it, apparently. Well, I guess if you've... I mean, for me, it's free. I purchased... You know, I was a founder. I mean, almost any MMO I play, I'm pretty much a founder. But I was a founder of Black Desert. I played it, you know, on day 1 when it came out. So we go back to my inventory, and if you hover over it, it's going to say... it says right there, description, a shabby wooden fence, maximum of 1 crop can be grown. So this is like the worst, you know, the worst type of fence. But you buy strong fences, and I think you can do 4 crops. So we go onto my fence here. We're going to go back into the placement mode. We are going to plant a wheat like that. Okay, and you see here that special wheat crop temperature, humidity, and then, you know, it shows like kind of what it needs to survive, right? Like now, and it shows like where we are, in the region I'm in. You can see these little markers here. It shows that we're fine with temperature wise, we're fine humidity wise, and groundwater, I don't really know. There's actually things you can do to like help your pets grow, but really just the pruning and the killing pests is something you're going to have to do. So right now we've got our crop, right? You can see here we've got our view crop information R. We also have this is just a wild herb, and it takes a long time to gather stuff in this game. But here's our crop, and these buttons, see how it says prune and kill pests? Like sometimes your crops very often will be infested by pests, so you see like bugs flying around them. Right now we don't. I could turn down probably the graphics detail in the game to make it easier to see my crops, maybe. I wonder if we could do that. Because right now, like if we go to display settings, display quality, what I was looking for was basically like ground clutter, kind of like World of Warcraft, but I don't remember where it is. Yeah, display quality. Anyways, I like texture, graphics, and yeah, I don't really see it. Display filter. But it would be nice if you could, like in WoW, basically like remove some of this grass. But anyways, it's easy to see your plant. You just move over and you see it. So basically, sometimes you'll see like bugs and stuff flying around your plant. So you're gonna have to come back to your farm here, your fence, and just run over your plants and just make sure that there's nothing going on. And if there is, you can go into R and interact, and you can actually it's not available now because we don't need to do it. But you can prune your plants and you can kill pests, and that'll help your plants grow. So when you do plant a bunch of stuff, you do need to maintain it. You need to come back and check on your crops. Can people steal your plants? No, they cannot. Not that I'm aware of. They cannot steal them. It's not like Arc Age, right? Yeah, no, they can't. But you can also plant... I don't know why my horse is walking in a weird direction. He's like getting caught up on stuff. But you can also look for areas to plant where it's a little bit easier to see crops, but my horse is acting weird. I don't remember it being so difficult to see. You can see my FPS is shitty, only 59. It's not the worst, but it's not great. I don't see anything here that would lower the... Let's go to... We'll see what happens if we go very low. I don't know what this is going to do. I took the graphics from like very high to very low. It's still trying to apply it. And now you can see that we've done that. It is easier to see our wheat a little bit. There's... Get my... Still not the easiest to see thing that we'll see. But we can see our fence a lot easier though. Anyways, that's how you plant crops. You just put down your, you know, what kind of fence you have. Go ahead and plant your crops. But there's so much more to the game. Here, let's go to... But Black Desert, it's a hard game to get. I mean, it's fun if you just want to play because you've never played it. I think definitely try it out. The combat's super fun. Just playing just doing the combat stuff makes it worth $5. If it only costs $5, it's totally worth it. You know. I mean, this character doesn't have any armor or any gear for some reason. Yeah, I'm missing missing my weapon for some reason on this character, and I really don't know why. It's weird, like, yeah, you don't have a weapon. Anyways, but what I wanted to show you was... When you go to the map, you can turn stuff on and off right here on the map. So you can make the map look really busy with all kinds of stuff, or you can turn some things you want on, some things you don't. Also, if you click on the main thing here, you can see, like, these are the different type of nodes that exist in this area. Like, there's a banker, investment bank, specializations. I don't even remember how all that stuff works, but let's get out of the map. Currently, I'm in Heidel. But what you can do here, and you can see, like, if you look at Heidel, you'll see these nodes. And see these yellow lines? See how this line's kind of yellow? It's kind of hard to see. This line's yellow. It's not white. When you go over here, see how this line is white? That's because I've actually connected these nodes, meaning I've placed points. Like, I've actually invested. You can see here, I currently have 13 out of 176 contribution points, but I've invested into this node. You can see I invest energy, I guess 10 maybe, or well, I can invest more. I don't know how it knows how much I've currently invested, but I have definitely invested because it's yellow. Because I've invested here, I've also invested here. Well, you can see the point right here. See above this... here you see this black circle. It says 1. Up here it says, I think, 3. Here it says 1. Here it says 1. Those are the investment points. Because I've invested points in these nodes, I can send my workers, because you can hire workers, to go to those places and do stuff for me. I can send workers to go to the quarry and mine ore for me. We can go here and it says if we left click, we can view the node information. And you can see that there's mining copper ore and there's also mining iron ore. So that's things you can do at that node. And so you basically can hire workers. And you can go to, and if you hire workers, you're going to have a house. So you've got to go into Heidel, like a city area that's connected to these nodes, and you have to go into one of these houses. You're going to have to invest points into these houses so that you can then either have storage in the house or you can have a residence in the house so that you can actually, your workers have a place to go. Now, knowing which ones you've invested points into on this one's always felt more complicated to me, but I believe the dark blue are ones that I haven't contributed points to. It says required contribution points, and then the ones that are white could possibly be the ones that I have put points in. So if we click on one of these white ones, you can see here it says detailed use 1 level, add 3 more space. So right now, and it's been so long since I played this game. Right now, you can see that this is lit. So this is a storage location. And if I go to here, storage, here, storage, here, storage. I have to have a residence here somewhere. Storage. Maybe I don't have a residence, or maybe I'm doing it wrong. Storage. Yeah, I don't remember how to track which buildings are which. This one keeps blinking for some reason, so let's click it. It says empty house. Each house can be used differently. Maybe let's zoom back out. Here's one. He says lodging. And you can see here, so I definitely have invested into this one because it says right here, it says you can hire one more worker. And it says level 2, you can hire 2 more. Maybe not, maybe I haven't, but this is telling you that if you use this as lodging, and it's lodging 1, you can hire a worker. If you go to level 2 on this one, which it's got 2 carrots, I'm going to assume that I have this one because it's these 2 little carrot symbols are both lit up. So I'm going to assume I already have lodging level 2 on this particular building. Let's see if we can find one like the blue one. See, the blue one's not lit up. See these little symbols, these right arrows aren't lit up. So I was correct. The white buildings are buildings I've invested contribution points into, and because this lodging is lit up, it's solid, you know, it's highlighted. The ones that are blue, you know, see, now this is going to prove me wrong. This one's highlighted. Oh shit, dude, it's been so long since I've played this game. But anyways, well here let's see. Let's try to invest a point in one of these just to see. If I go here. And but it's not lit up. See, it's not lit up. See how so that, I think that must be it. Like, now, here I can say purchase storage. And it says, do you want to buy this house? Required contribution points is 2. So I can buy this, boom. Now you can see it's got the point. And then it shows the progress. Now, this is basically because it's, when you buy it, you can't use it yet. When you buy it, see how the progress is going up? You have to wait for the progress storage level 1 to complete before it's accessible by you. So, right? Yeah, so it's not that complicated. I just had to remember how it works. So you go in, like if you go into here, see how this has a symbol? That means that I've purchased rank 1 storage at this house. The blue ones, I think, are always ones that are definitely don't have any contribution points. The white ones, I've got contribution points in. Here, I've got resident 1 level. So if we go back, right? We go back and we go to, sorry, we zoom out. It's easier just to, there we go. We go back to Heidel, which is where I'm at right now. We can, and also if we go back out, notice it says 1. See the 1 here? So 1 contribution point. And if we go back here, it says 1. So I don't really know. I think it just means we've contributed 1 to the node. Anyways, I hate how it keeps doing that. I keep clicking. Go back to Heidel, and we click on like one of these white houses. Now that I remember how it works, you can see that I have 1 point into storage here. If I close this one down, I click this tiny little white house here. You can see I've got 1 point into storage. And if we go to like this big house up here, you can see that we've got 1 point here into lodging. So because we have 1 point here into lodging, we can hire workers from here and then send those workers off to the nodes that are connected to Heidel, which are this node's connected, these nodes are all connected. Now, the other thing you can do with nodes is if you connect nodes, like this node only goes to here, but connected nodes to areas where you have quests, I think they give you greater rewards. So like if you're like there's so much to this game, like connected nodes to quests, like to areas like nodes where there's like repeatable quests, you get benefits. There's benefits for having those nodes connected. I think you get like greater experience too. Now, of course, these are like, you know, experience in Black Desert isn't like what it used to be. When the game first came out, it was an amazing game. It was great because leveling was a lot slower. All the stuff was slower. Everything was more difficult. So it was more, you know, you had to learn all these systems to try to get the leg up. Now it's may not be as important as it used to be, which is unfortunate. You know, I think most MMOs suffer from that. The longer they're out, the worse they get because they nerf the games to make them easier. Perfect example is Guild Wars 2. We were just talking about how Guild Wars 2, like I don't have the Dragon Mount. A lot of people don't have the Dragon Mount because they haven't gone through the game and done whatever they need to do to get it. But now they're just going to, with this new expansion, apparently maybe just give it away for free, which, again, I think that's a bad thing in a way because it devalues all the work that people who originally got it did. You know, it's like it doesn't really devalue it, but I just wish MMOs could leave them alone. It's like when you come out with an MMO and it's a certain level of challenge and content required to do certain things, just leave it alone. If you want to come out with new content that's easier, make the new content easier, but leave the original content the same. Most people are going to disagree with me on this one, but that's just me. Can you enter these homes? These homes you cannot enter, right? These homes you cannot enter, but there's other homes that you can get, right? So if we're running around town, And I don't seem to have a mount right now. There are homes that you can't enter. Like here, visit. And so there's... So we're just gonna... So it's just usually... This is just what the house looks like on the inside as a basic. Now, a lot of these houses you can buy, right? You can purchase, right? Waiting for this to shut. I don't know. Press R to key. So here it says owner list. So a lot of people own different ranks of these. I guess you can't. Can you enter? Here, let's try entering one of those. I don't know. Can we? Okay, so here's like a house that someone has owned. This is what their house. So it's basically like instanced, right? So this is what this house looks like for one person who owns it, and you can see they've decorated their house. It's a very small house. I don't know if the houses get a lot bigger. I've never been into a house that was like really big. Okay, this one's a little bigger. You see, when they've decorated this house, it's just way too crowded. See, they've got a bed here. Now, beds actually do play in a role. You can actually log out and get in a bed, and it will recover your energy faster. These houses are ridiculous. But yeah, you can purchase houses, and you can place stuff like beds. You can put crafting stations in your houses to craft, potions and stuff. Crafting in Black Desert is pretty intricate. Where's the blacksmith? But yeah, the game is... The best way to approach the game is don't let yourself get overwhelmed with the game. The best way is to find a good... Like I said, find a YouTuber who's got good videos, and you can just, go up there and learn. Watch his videos on whatever it is you're trying to do. So there's a lot of stuff to do in Black Desert. I don't play it much anymore because I feel like the game, it's just not... It's not as good as it was when it came out. They've really it's kind of like a World of Warcraft scenario where it's the same thing with Terra. Like Terra, a lot of MMOs are really good when they're launched, but then they change them and they nerf them. They make content easier. They put in too many systems. They do a lot of different things, which I'm not a fan of. Now Guild Wars 2 is one of those games that I don't think has suffered that. I think Guild Wars 2 is one of the games. Same thing with Elder Scrolls Online. I think those are two MMOs that probably are actually better now than they were when they came out, as far as how they play and the content of the games. I think they're actually better. So I don't want to say that all MMOs get worse, but games like I think WoW and Black Desert and Terra, when it was around, they definitely over time I think got worse. Anyways, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna get something to eat. I'm probably gonna come back, maybe play some World of Warcraft, my hardcore Blood Elf Paladin on Wrath of the Lich King. And but yeah, I'm still, it's just like you guys, I'm still waiting for a new MMO to come out. The one that I've been watching, quite a bit. There's a couple of MMOs. I think, and even if you go to let's see, PAX Day. PAX Day is one that's coming that I think is pretty interesting. So if you go to PAX Day here, does this have the unlisted ones? I don't think it does. Unlisted videos. There was actually an article. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if it was this one. There was one. It wasn't these. And I wish I actually should have saved the link. PAX Day. New screenshots? Well, these are some of the screenshots from PAX Day, right? So, when we look at PAX Day, I mean, the PAX Day is using Unreal Engine 5, but I mean, look at the I've seen pretty much most of them. I've seen most of them. Is it like newer than like? Let me take a look. 'Cause I saw the last one for sure, and it looked pretty good. I mean, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like Ashes of Creation for some reason. I didn't like it in the beginning, and I still have issues with the PvP nature of the game. I think could actually be a bad thing. But if you go, yeah, I did watch the.
Categories.
I actually got up to this point, so I haven't finished. I'm gonna watch the rest of this video today. But I am really excited about the freeholds in Ashes of Creation. I think they're really good. I really like the art of Ashes of Creation. I think there's a lot of stuff that that still needs to be there's a lot left to be desired in certain areas. But let me go to let's see. These are some of the PAX Day videos I was talking about. Now these are unlisted, so they're not on their channel because they're unlisted. And one of them was like the alpha build map. And you can see here, this is what their alpha build map looks like currently in PAX Day. So it gives you an idea of, just kind of the biomes and the size of it. And then go back. One of the ones was here's what it looks like in PAX Day at night. This is from the Friends and Family, I believe, build, right? So I would like to have seen more of the ground level stuff, but I don't. So my complaint with PAX Day's graphics is it's not very realistic. If you go back and you look at this video here, when you look at these graphics, they're not, especially the rocks, I find them to be a little clunky, and I don't think they're really. I mean, it's a really good. It doesn't have that fantasy nature to it. Like when you talk about Ashes of Creation has this fantastical nature to it. And what I mean is you're going to see colors in the world. You're going to see, biomes and trees and stuff that probably don't exist on planet Earth. You know what I mean? So they've gone into what we consider fantasy, high fantasy. But when you look at PAX Day, they've gone more with a realistic look. I mean, more of like, this is something you might have seen in Britain, in the 1800s or something or whatever. So it's more based on reality. And I'm not a fan of that personally. And the reason I'm not a fan of that is because you have a basis of reference of real world stuff. And to me, it's hard to make an in-game graphics hold up to what we see as the real world. So it makes the game look more dated. So when I see PAX Day, to me, instantly it feels more dated graphically, whereas Ashes of Creation does not, because it's more of a fantastical nature. That's, and again, if you look at here in the buildings, look how these look very, there's a big difference between the different styles based on the types of people that constructed these buildings. And the other thing that's interesting in Ashes of Creation is if you have your own free home, you'll be able to buy plans that allow you to construct these buildings, even though your race isn't Kalar. You may be a Renkai, but you'll still be able to get plans to construct Kalar buildings on your freehold, which I think is pretty cool. I actually think that's pretty cool. But anyway, let's take a look at this video real quick. So I do like this one here a lot. I really like the base of the tree here, and I like the moss growing on it. And I like the variation in what I would consider the golden path. And the golden path is usually an area that clearly kind of defines, well, this is probably where the character is going to move through because it's more open. Here's the woods. This golden path is where the character is probably going to venture through because it's more visibility and they can see the sky in the distance. Anyways, same thing here. You've got the golden path, which is obviously the walking. But I mean, these look good. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't look good. Now this looks good. Now what I'm going to talk about is if you look at the distance, look at the rocks here too. There's not a lot. Now this is early. Remember, this is still really early, but there's not a lot of detail here. You've just got some rocks and a very basic texture of grass. That's it. I don't see any trees growing out of these rocks. And so if you look at the composition of this scene, all we see is a bunch of rocks with some moss on them, a bunch of trees placed, and some water, and then some area here with some different grass, like some grass with a few flowers and maybe some other weeds. So very, very simplistic. If you were to go into Unreal Engine 5 with any kind of degree of skill with creating terrain, you could create something like this very easily, very quickly. So this outside of the bridge, now the bridge is handcrafted. This was probably custom built, the bridge. So what I'm saying is this doesn't impress me hardly at all. It really doesn't, because it's not. This is not anything that's hard to do. And I realize it's still an early build, but I don't see a lot of customization. And that's the one thing so far with PAX Day. And I know they're still really early, but I don't see a lot of customization or a lot of really like handcrafted stuff going on. But again, they're still like early, like alpha. You know, like again here, you know, pretty basic stuff. You don't see a lot going on. You know, pretty sparsely in trees and terrain. Nothing super complicated. This one here, though, this one here looks. I like this one because these trees look a little bit more custom, and that there's some you know, some leaves going on here. There's some moss at the base of the tree. The way the roots are a little bit coming out, they look a little different. And you can see the variation in the bark over here. So this one I like quite a bit. It just feels like there's a lot more work went into this particular one. You know, a lot of these trees are just the same tree being repeated over and over again, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an MMO. That's going to happen. Yeah, but like these outdoor scenes with the rocks, like finally we got a little bit of different colored rock here. But again, so you take a look at this, and this is early, and I'm very excited about this game, though. I'm not trying to say anything bad. But then you take a look at Ashes of Creation, and I want to show you the difference. And what I really like about Ashes of Creation is it really is the fantasy stuff, right? Like, is it this one? Yeah, this one.
Actually,
so look at the difference in this, which is a much more fantasy style. You know what I mean? You know, compared to like this. I mean, this is more realistic looking, you know, and this is definitely more fantasy. I mean, the colors are more rich. There's a lot of like smoke and ambience, you know.
I might have something that could help.
You can see that the backpack, they've really started to flesh out some of the UI. I love the image of the backpack's great. I like the color green, the gradient they got going on here. I love the little detail in the corner here, how they've taken the time to cut out a little section for the X. I think that just shows the attention to detail is what I like with Ashes. You can see the little border around the image, but then you can see these little accents here where this kind of goes up and forms the top, and even the top has a gradient. We're going from yellow to green back to yellow, and again, a little accent here to start this corner going down, and then a faded corner that's kind of broken and fading away, whereas this one's solid because it's going to have the handle on it, so you can click and drag it. And then, of course, the filter options, weapons, gear, jewelry, I'm going to say consumables maybe, and then probably quest items, and then even a search. So this is really great. I think every MMO should have search through your inventory. Every MMO should have filters that filter this way. This is fantastic. They've even gone a step further and have tabs, which is interesting, for materials and quest items. So maybe this isn't quest items. Maybe this is something else, like plans and recipes, because you are going to have quite a lot of recipes in Ashes of Creation. So, but you see a lot more of a fantasy-based looking game. And if you go back,
setup.
This is very fantasy, looking at these ores. And if you go back to the, not the cleric one, but there was one they did, let's go videos. There's one they did a while ago. I think maybe, well, this was the Gathering one. This actually isn't the one I want. Night and Day, development update, Gathering, creation. Combat, mage. No, not the mage. So even before these. The dynamic weather is really cool. But anyways, yeah, I don't see it right away. But if you go through these, I mean, you're going to see right away. Like, look at the gear here.
Avoid that gets registered.
Now, this is one of the videos Ashes of Creation did that I was really not happy with. I think this video, I mean, I love the rock monster. I think looks fantastic, right? But what I don't like about this video, and the one thing I've complained about, and I probably should give this feedback on the official channels, is that most of the effects of grass and trees moving is not very realistic at all. You can see here, you can see it now. How this grass is going to move looks like how like grass would move as if it was underwater. how it's kind of moving almost together, like almost as if like because like a big wave is kind of lapping back and forth, and all the grass would kind of float. You know, it's too many of the blades of grass are moving at the same direction and time as other blades of grass. And this, even like this particular plant, I don't know what this is, but it looks like seaweed to me. Every time I see this plant in the environment, it looks like seaweed. So he's going to move up, and you can see here's a rock monster here, and there's probably a few others. And what I really didn't like about this particular video, one, I think the cloth dynamics on their cloaks needs a lot of work. It doesn't look very good. They look too rigid. You know, they're not. See how rigid it's moving? It doesn't look like, it's way too rigid. It's like the cloth was made out of frickin' aluminum or something. You know what I mean? But what I don't like about this particular video is they're displaying some of the combat, but the combat animations, the swords, how it swings through its weapon arcs and stuff, is much, much, much too fast, right? Like, much too fast. So watch the speed of these animations. They are entirely too quick. Come on.
What makes Ashes great specifically, we wanted to approach it from the ground up, answering individual questions about.
But notice the difference though in the you can see that this Ashes of Creation is doing a lot more hand crafting. Like, look at this piece of earth here with the different sediment layers. Really, really cool. Look at the ground and like look at the variation in the ground, like how it's very curvy. See how this is curved. I really, really like how they're doing the level design. I think the level design Ashes so far I've been very happy with. It looks really, really good. I like the rocks, and the textures are really cool. I like the variation in the dirt's a completely different color than these rocks. And of course I liked how the rock here is the monster looks, you know, it's hiding inside this other area that looks very similar, which is cool.
Our hypotheses and what we think is good, right?
Now
so
watch.
We really focused on.
Okay, even the dodge. See, even how his character dodged is much too fast. I mean, that's just not even realistic. It looks like he's warping. It's like freaking Star Trek, you know, engage warp drive, right? You know, it just felt really bad.
Individual aspects that we think.
Now that was pretty cool.
Makes good combat. And
now watch, the weapon swings are entirely too quick.
Answered them one at a time.
Look at that.
In a very tight iterative process. And we ended up at something that we think feels really, really good. So
yeah, so the animations are too fast. They should be much slower. If you go with slower animations, it's gonna give you that feeling of that, again, that immersion, that connectivity with your character. I think that's one of the reasons why people like Dark Souls so much, is because the stuff can be kind of slow, which really lends weight to your abilities. You know what I mean? It lends weight. Yeah, it's just too fast. It's
just playing this, I am loving the hit reacts, the visual effects, all the ancillary components that go into making the combat, but more importantly, the pacing of this kind of heavier weapon group. Also, as a side note,
I mean, the pacing. If he's talking about really the pacing it's all wrong. I mean, he's got this big, huge sword, and he's swinging it like it weighs like a. You know what I mean? And it sounds terrible. Some of their mics are bad. He's swinging this big-ass sword, and he's swinging around like it's a feather. Like it's literally a feather.
Side of the combat. One of the things I've...
Also, another thing they finally did was see how obviously they recorded this on a wide screen, and a lot of people in the chat were saying, why the hell are you recording videos for YouTube for people to watch when you're doing a wide screen and we're losing all this part of the top of the screen and the bottom? They got slammed for that so much, and they finally fixed that. They finally fixed that, you know.
Agency, you know, to what extent does this weapon respect your intentions? And that's the part that's important to me. I'm a classic player. I come from traditional MMOs, right? Like I want to.
But again, notice how the trees and stuff, how they're moving. It's not realistic. It doesn't look right. Even this little bit of grass would no way be moving this much. Watch this grass here. It's moving way too much.
Be able to move and attack at the same time.
See it all moving?
Yes, and that was a huge point of feedback actually that we received.
Doesn't it feel like we're underwater? Doesn't it feel like we're underwater?
Was that we started with this more root motion approach to the basic weapon attacks, and ultimately we called an audible mid-test. I remember it was in that end of July or beginning of August.
classic MMOs, right? Players really like how smooth.
Again, that dodge backwards is just way too fast.
The classic MMO feel, how much player agency they get out of it, and then we took that and we.
I mean, the swing was. Did you notice the swing was so fast that they can't even time the damage numbers and the actual damage hitting the boss correctly with the weapon because it's too fast. Watch this. We're gonna watch this in like a much slower mode, like slower speed, and you'll see how bad this is. Let's go 0.5. Okay. Yeah, the ground damage is really cool. They've done a lot of. I think all the really like the effects of stuff hitting the ground. Like here, we're gonna see this come down. Yeah, and the ground damage is awesome. It throws rocks up into the air. It looks fantastic. And I think that a lot of the attention to detail is there. Like the one thing you're looking for in MMOs is polish and detail. Most of the MMOs that have come out in the past 15 years haven't had that. They haven't had that really good polish. And WoW is the exception. WoW's always been very good with having a polished game, but they just ruined their game for a lot of other reasons. Now you can see he swings, and this is in 0.5 speed, right? And then the damage number came out. So actually that one wasn't too bad. Now here, I mean, that was so fast. Like that, remember we're going half speed. It's like, look, this whole arc is still on the screen, and yet his weapon's already made contact, and it's already finished its swing. You know, so, and then there was even like a further swing. Like he kept going. Look how fast that swing is. Now this, I will say that the windmill is better. It's a better speed. And I almost said that earlier when we watched it a few minutes ago, that the windmill is still, I think, a little bit too fast, but it's not as fast as these other weapon swings are. You know, in relation to those, it's not the same. I'm just gonna not pause it here, and I'm gonna let it play through. He missed with that ability, by the way. Noob. Too fast, too fast, too fast. And you can see the windmill is much slower. And then he does like a swing at the end. And there's even an uppercut at the end, which is kind of interesting. There was one thing I noticed there that looked wrong. Before the windmill, like I think it's the third attack he does. There's like a glitch in the swing, I think. This one looked okay. They're just too fast. This one looks okay, but oh, see the glitch there? There was a glitch there, and the glitch there was that his sword had only come to about this far across, but the yellow like trace of the swing had already been drawn all the way around. So the yellow trace was all the way to here, even though his weapon had only traveled to here. So that's just wrong. It should really time with the weapon. And I wouldn't use yellow either. I would use more of just that kind of clear, like almost watery, like whitish liquid looking color that you see on a lot of swings of MMO games and other games. So if we see that again, can we go any slower? We're actually going to go slower. But these are the kind of type of polish and detail things that maybe I should be like an MMO producer, because this is the kind of stuff that really makes or breaks a combat system, in my opinion. Okay, swing, right? Yeah, but you swing. This one's okay. Like he started the swing, got about to here, then all of a sudden the trail showed up. I just wish these trails would be a little bit more in line with the actual sword. Also, like I said, I'm not a big fan of using yellow. I think just pure, like, kind of liquid-looking white would be a little bit more. Okay, and actually, the interesting thing about this arc, notice that the arc moves with the character. So as he turned his character, the arc turned. I think that's not good, because it's gonna imagine there's like 6 people, and they're all swinging their weapons at the same target. And let's say they're all moving while they're swinging. You're gonna have all these weird-looking swinging animations moving around with all these people moving. So the swing animation should just show a general direction of where your sword is going, and it should very quickly fade away. You see the arc, and then it fades away, right? And it shouldn't move. It shouldn't, like, if you're moving, that doesn't matter, because that's not where you swung your sword. Like, his sword has already gone through its swing, it's already struck the ground. He's moving, and now the arc's moving. Well, the arc shouldn't move, right? So if we show it again. So this is just like really like breaking this stuff down into the to the finest details. And that the dodge backwards, which is like great, way too fast, right? One thing Steven likes is big. Steven's a big fan of huge effects. I mean, very like overly like. Look, see how the arc moved? You see that? You see how the arc moved with him? And you're gonna see the other thing I talked about before, where how the swing of the sword, it like even though the sword like was only like so far through, the whole arc was already completely drawn. Yeah. See, I notice these things in normal speed. See how the arc's moving? Now this next one, watch. There, the sword's only here, but the arc gets drawn all the way around. And they even do this yellow line here, which I'm not a fan of that either. I wouldn't have this. You shouldn't have the arc go past where the sword is. And so then at the last second, see how at the last second the sword snapped back? So I think what this is a glitch. I think the sword was supposed to swing all the way to here, but for some reason it glitched. And there's the other one. And this is, I guess, just the way this attack's supposed to go, but he swings the sword around, and then on the backswing, the sword actually slams into the ground behind him, which is really interesting. That's not something we've ever seen before. Like, have you ever seen that in an MMO before? Where someone swings a weapon and it like hits the ground behind them? It's kind of interesting. And I'm not bashing that. I think that's interesting. There's the arc moving. Here we see the sword stick. So that's like a glitch. Now he's going to swing this. Now watch how the sword hits the ground. It was like really weird. Now what I want to talk about is see, this is what I was talking about with the sword trail. See this little trail here? It's kind of like almost hard to see, but it's not colored yellow. That's what I'm saying is they should be using for the sword arcs. They shouldn't be using this big yellow shit. Although it does make it more impactful, you know? See, like here, see this? This kind of like smeared area. That's what I would use as your arc. I wouldn't use the yellow. I just have this smeared. Maybe add a little bit of yellow to it. The yellow makes it more magical and kind of more fantasy. So I'm not like totally opposed to it, but typically you don't see that as much. You see more of just like this kind of stuff here. Anyways, that's, you know.
Really making attacks feel satisfying, making it feel like the inertia of the weapon and your movements are accurate.
Yeah, but when I watched this video, I definitely was not happy with the combat on this video. I thought it left a lot to be desired. Now, having said that, this was one of the older videos. There were other videos they did with like the cleric combat, which I thought looked, you know, much improved. So if we go to cleric.
You guys can see that.
And you watch some of the cleric abilities here. I think it starts to look better. They're still doing this widescreen though. But also, again, I wanted to also point out the world. Like, look at this world here compared to this. I mean, look at the difference. You know, more realistic looking world, very kind of bland color scheme. Then you get into Ashes and you get these beautiful torches, you get this beautiful mist coming across the ground. Beautiful, just like huge variations in height, which the other game had as well. But I just really like what they're doing with Ashes as far as level design. And even on top of that, it's raining, I think. Was it raining? Yeah, you can see rain falling. Now, if we go back to the combat, and you look at some of the combat here, I definitely can see some improvements in the combat. And I really, like you said before, Herde, is that there's a lot of ground effects. Like when they hit the ground with the weapons and stuff, you see a lot of really cool effects. So.
Not like this. Oh, no, you're dead.
Boom.
You are going to die.
He just jumped right in there.
There's nothing I can do for you. Oh my god.
Focus the scholars.
There's more of them.
Scholars first.
Why is there so many?
That's alright, 3 down.
You can see his weapons. The warrior's still swinging super fast. There's the spin to win.
I can't. It's on cooldown. Okay, here it comes. Oh my god, there's dogs.
So let's watch this one in slow motion because I think there's a lot to see here. Right?
That's right.
You can see the super fast swings of the warrior are still there. You can see he healed him. Here's the spin to win. And it did look to me like they took some of the yellow out. It doesn't seem quite as yellow as it was. And now here's that big ground attack. Watch this. Here it comes. Boom! And they've definitely improved the quality of the effect of it hitting the ground, I think. You can see these rocks. It's just the detail. It looks more high res than on the other video. You can also see there's a lot of variation in the ground. I love the fence, the iron fence here and the stone columns. I think they did a great job with this zone. It looks fantastic.
Houston,
they're working together.
Not a standard sword.
Oh, I almost got
They still have cloth dynamics. The cloak dynamics still don't. Now I will say his cloak looks a little better. It doesn't look quite as rigid. Did you notice that? His cloak looks not quite as rigid. Still rigid, but it looks better than it did before.
Oh. Hey, we actually handled that.
Definitely looks much better.
Right.
So as you watch these videos, you definitely see improvements. You definitely see things being improved. So I think PAX Day could be really good, but they got a long way to go yet. I think they're still very early, and the thing is, Ashes of Creation is still in alpha, but I do believe Ashes of Creation will come out in 2025. I'm thinking in the second half of 2025, like in the August timeframe. I think that's when Ashes of Creation is going to get released. I really do. I hope I'm right. I don't think, I think they're making good progress. This is only 2023. Sorry. So, we got the rest of this year, we've got all of next year, and then almost all of the next year, right? We got all the rest of 2023, all of 2024, and then most of 2025. So, basically 2 more years I'm going to give them. But I do think that Ashes of Creation will be done in 2025. Yeah, excuse me, visible backpacks are pretty cool. They do exist in games. There's lots of MMOs that have backpacks that you can see. I think Lord of the Rings has it. I know Guild Wars 2 definitely has it because we were just looking at it. I know also, I believe Final Fantasy, has it too. So, yeah, there are games that have backpacks. Anyways, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go take a break, spend some time with the wife, and I hope you guys have a good Sunday. I will be back later, and we'll play some World of Warcraft. But yeah, I'm super excited for these other games. You know what I mean? I'm super excited for Ashes of Creation. I'm super excited for PAX Day. I think both of them look like they could be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to playing something new. I'm really tired of playing the same. I say this every time, but I'm so tired of playing the same MMOs. I still enjoy them, but I just know that if I get into a new game like these, I'm going to enjoy them 10,000 times more because they're new and they're fresh and they're different, and I'm really excited for that. I'll catch you guys later, man. Peace.